inner dislike for Mo as a fantasy coach or GM. So when I won, I rubbed him in his face.
I did not shove it in your face that I beat you by 50. And since the time I've been in the league, you have never defeated me. No, I held that back.
It's about time, Joe. You started bringing that heat because Ryan is just throwing.
Man, I look. It's a Wednesday, like hump day. I'm feeling it. Ryan really must have had a bad day at work.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your favorite show of the week, the Indecision Cave. We're in the middle of week 5, and we got a bunch of guests with us. Per usual, we got the all-time winner in regular season victories, Justin Coleman, Just Blaze. We got the man who found a way to beat me last week. Congratulations to Trader Joe. We got our commissioner, Ashton Jones. And then we got a few friendly faces here. We got Rashawn McKenzie, Rax. Talk to him.
What up? Rax in the building.
We got one of your favorite personalities here for another week to bring dismay to the show. Kyle, you paying attention?
Yes, I am.
Thanks for joining us. And ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, we bring our friend Kai Joseph Mordecai, Big Mort.
Good, Joe. Trying to bring some youth to this conversation.
with the Cuban links.
The big cube.
We're going to get right into it, though, folks. A huge trade went down today in the Indecision Cave as Justin will go through. Justin, who'd you give up today? What'd you get, man?
So I traded DK Metcalf and Deontay Johnson, 2 receivers, in order to get James Robinson.
You don't want to remember. It wasn't that good.
Dang, that's not a good deal.
Jarvis Landry and Justin Jackson.
Okay, so Justin, looking at your roster, man, what made you pull the trigger on this kind of a deal?
I just felt like I needed another solid running back that would get a lot of carries, a lot of activity in the offense going forward, and I felt like I had a lot of receivers, so I just wanted to try to trade that off and get some value in return.
There you go. And so you made that trade with Rashawn. So Rashawn, again, thanks for joining us, man. What were you looking for? What were you looking for that made this a trade that worked out for you? Knowing a few things. One, James Robinson is having a promising year as a rookie. But 2, in our league where there's keepers, you had great value with James Robinson. I think you got him in like the 10th round or something like that, where he would have been like a 9th or 10th round keeper. He seems to have a stranglehold on the job. What made you so willing to give up James Robinson this early in the season?
Well, honestly, I wasn't looking forward to. Justin happened to jump into my DMs, but I was also looking for a receiver outside of Keenan Allen and Robby Anderson. Jarvis Landry and T.Y. Hilton wasn't cutting it. So he's like DK and Deontay were on the block. I felt like I had to pull the trigger. I still have Antonio Gibson. I think he still has high promise. I did get him late as well. And, he is the lead back in that backfield, as James Robinson is as well, but he still has some competition coming back to that backfield.
Awesome. So right now you're looking like real deep at wide receiver, and at running back you got Antonio Gibson. So you're feeling confident going into this week's matchup.
Yeah, outside of Gibson, I still got Zeke, and I still have Josh Kelly. I think those two, Gibson and Kelly, have promise as well for this season, especially with Eckler out.
That sounds about right to me. Ashton, we're gonna come to you, man. How did you when this trade came across the wire? I think you threw it in the chat right away. What did you see? How do you feel? And hearing these guys, what are you thinking?
You feel me? So I had to get my little fantasy Adam Scheffner on. Try to speak to sources, understand what's going on behind the scenes. So hearing the trade, I played Justice this week. So for him to get rid of DK and Deontay, come on, man. I was like, please let it happen. I played Rashawn last week, so I don't got to worry about his team unless I make the finals. So I was happy. Rashawn got a stacked team now. He got Keenan Allen, Robby Anderson, DK Metcalf, Deontay, and he has Travis Kelce as well. Zeke. Like, his team is nasty. So, I mean, it made a kickers' lives matter team a little bit less, but Justin needs a running back, right? Mark Ingram, you can't trust the Ravens backfield. So, I mean, I respect it, but hopefully it works out in my favor.
Kai, we're gonna throw it to you, man. We need that young analysis. Wins and losses are all that count, man. Do you think Justin won or lost this trade this week?
I mean, in my position, I feel like he lost only because the trade he made with Rashawn really puts me in quite the bind. As y'all know, I'm kind of set back right now. My number one pick has been out on IR, and they got DK going against the Vikings, who have like the worst secondary in the league. Add to that I'm pretty sure DK is the league leader in like single coverage yardage right now, so I'm sure he's going to go off on me, and I feel like I need all the help I can get to even potentially move past. I'm trying to just skate by until CMC gets back, and this really puts me in a rough spot. So, yeah, I'm going to have to call you a loser on this one, just out of personal reasons.
So, Kai, you don't feel good about your chances this week in your matchup with Rashawn?
No, I don't. I don't feel great. I mean, he's, as we've already talked about, he's stacked at the receiver position. Add to that he's got Zeke, and the Cowboys are just going to have to feed him continuously because their defense is probably second worst in the league to Minnesota's. I think it puts me in a rough position. Though I do have Amari, I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities, and I got Tyreek Hill. I'm still pretty weak at running back, and then, I mean, everybody has been a toss-up with tight end. So I just feel like, I've had to try to skate by having my opponents not really outscore me, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to live with that this week.
Kai, real quick, before we throw it to anyone else, it's your first time here. Can you walk us through your squad right now? Like, what's your record? What's going on? What's right and what's wrong over there with the replacement refs?
Well, currently I am 1-3. This is by far and away my worst start whilst being in this league, largely due to the fact that my keeper pick, Christian McCaffrey, is on IR right now. Deshaun's my starting QB. Don't really know what I was thinking there. I heard a lot of the offseason hype about him having all these receivers who, like, run in the 4.2s, and as we can see, it hasn't really worked out for them, and it hasn't really worked out for me either. But got Devin Singletary and Ronald Jones as my primary running backs, and they're both like about mid-tier running backs. Obviously, I thought CMC was going to be my main guy, but I'm living with that. Very comfortable with my receivers. I love Tyreek Hill. I love Amari Cooper. I think they're going to be consistent and good players for me. Right now, I'm starting Eric Ebron this week, but generally TJ Hawkinson is my go-to. But as we've already talked about, tight ends in the league as a whole haven't been really killing the points for you unless you got Travis Kelce or George Kittle. Consistently got the Steelers defense. I'm a Steelers fan, and I think their defense is second in the league right now in turnovers created, so they're usually pretty good for me. And then right now, my flexes are interchanged between Jerry Jeudy, Marquise Valdes-Scantling, and Malcolm Brown for the most part. So it's a very average team. I feel like I haven't put as much focus and attention into my team as I have in other years, but I'm trying to just bounce back from this rough start and maybe make a strong comeback, see people in the postseason, but who knows?
Well, Kai, one good thing, as our viewers can attest to, and as some of our league mates, I'm on fire picking waiver wires, and I said Eric Ebron was the guy to grab, so I think you're in a good position this week. So good luck. Hopefully you can beat Rashawn to let him know his team isn't unstoppable. But who is unstoppable right now is Fitz. So Fitz, you're here. We're not going to talk about your team just yet, but we are going to have you talk about this trade, man. Who won and who lost, Rashawn or Justin?
I was a little shocked to see DK get traded just because, as the streets have been saying, they've been letting Russ cook, and as a part of that, so has DK. So I was a little shocked to see DK get moved. I had to look at Justin's depth at receiver just to make sure it made sense for him, which it does. So he's 3-1. He leads his conference. And he's probably banking on AJ Brown coming back, but it looks like those guys are gonna be playing for a few more weeks because those guys don't know how to act when it comes to COVID. So probably Chenault, I'm guessing, is getting the nod. I'm presuming, or Landry, of course. But he's in a tough spot as far as when it comes to receiver. He has better running backs, but he's in a tough spot at receiver.
Joe, we're coming to you last, man. Just because you beat me this week, we don't really care what you have to say, but we're going to give you a chance to sprinkle in some thoughts. So, Joe, Rashawn or Justin, who got the better of this deal?
I'm not gonna listen to your only option. I'm hearing feedback. Am I good?
You're good now.
Yeah, you're straight.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to be limited to your two options. I would say it was fair enough. No clear winner, nowhere real loser. Because as you always say, that the running backs are really scarce in our league, and he got two serviceable running backs, and the way the NFL is right now is 11 personnel. There's only 3 wide receivers out there on the field. So you can find a wide receiver somewhere, as Justin was saying, I think pre-show. So I think it was straight.
There you go. Ashton, before the show started and right now you were giving looks. I know you have your takes on James Robinson, man. You want to talk about it?
I think James Robinson's average, maybe above average running back. I think he's been in the backfield with no actual competition, right? The preseason, what everyone was calling as a starter was hurt. Who they thought was the second string is hurt. And so, you look at his games, he's had one game over 100 yards rushing. I think that was against Tennessee, but he had one really big fantasy game against Miami, which is the game he saw him catch 6 receptions. I think he's an average running back. Justin needed a running back. Mark Ingram isn't cutting it, and it's not going to cut it. And he gets Justin Jackson for however weeks that may take. Austin Eckler, I think he'll be out for a while. Now I think about it, it's not really that crazy. Deontay Johnson, I think that's his last name, right? Had a couple of good weeks, but he had kind of a dud last week. It's just DK, man. DK's been killing it. And that's what's really been catching us off guard. DK is that guy. And he's letting everybody know, y'all should have picked me above any other receiver 2 years ago. So,
especially the Eagles, right?
Let's not talk about Eagles picking receivers.
No, that's a fact.
That's a fact.
That's a fact. That's a fact. No doubt. Yeah. No doubt.
Oh, 100%. 100%. 2 years in a row, we just skip past quality receivers. I don't get it.
Kai, allow me to jump in because Deontay Johnson plays for the Steelers, and you probably follow him more than most. Yeah. Are we sleeping on him and focusing too much on Metcalf? Is he a real steal, or is he a solid player?
Well, interestingly enough, Deontay is number 1 on the Steelers in targets. So the thing with Deontay is that he's probably one of the most hot and cold receivers in the league. His chances of actually catching any easy, secure pass and making a bunch of dudes miss and getting 20 yards out of a play that probably should have lost 5 is just as high as him fumbling without anybody touching him and it getting picked up by the other team. So
I didn't know that.
He's going to get the targets. He's going to get a fair amount of target shares, especially because he's very similar to Antonio Brown as far as playing style. And obviously Ben saw his best success in his most secure target in Antonio Brown. They're super similar players, but he's just not that consistent. So it's really a very hit or miss kind of player.
Speaking of Antonio Brown, what are your sentiments towards him? Do you wish him to get?
I haven't thought about Cuz in months, so I don't even think about dude.
Yes, sir.
At this point, I'm very much over him.
Yeah.
Kyle's definitely think about him because Kyle has him rostered.
I drafted him. Yes.
Yeah. No risk it, no biscuit to get AB with someone with maybe the Texans or maybe Lamar Jackson. That would be a home run.
Probably not if Lamar's his quarterback. But I get what you're saying, man. You understand. It's all good. Rashawn, Justin, thank you. I'm glad we got to dive into that trade. It seems for the most part it was pretty fair, and we've seen Joe and some other people run some really, really bad trades, hurt the integrity of the league. But you guys kept it on the straight and narrow, and we appreciate that. And when we come back in the Indecision Cave, we have the match of the week.
This dude Ryan, I did not shove. I did not shove it in your face that I beat you by 50. And since the time I've been in the league, you have never defeated me. No.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indecision Cave. And we are here for pretty much our favorite segment of the week, where we have 2 of our teammates discuss the matchup of the week. And so we have Rashawn and the Auntie Anthony's taking on Kai in the replacement rest. Rashawn, before we get into rosters and what's going on there, what's up with the Auntie Anthony's? What is that name about, bro?
So one day in our in our group chat, Ashton and I forgot who was talking about what, but Ashton then decides to call Anthony Auntie. So usually I have a fun time with Anthony's name. I used to call him Billy. and I just decided to call him Auntie Anthony. And his name and my phone number is Auntie Anthony, and I decided to change my name to Auntie Anthony. So that's going to stay for the rest of this fantasy league.
There you go. Kai, I've never asked you about your team name.
Yeah.
I kind of think that it's an ode to when we had replacement refs, which is a soft spot because the Fail Mary happened during that season.
As I recall.
As you should recall. So is it definitely an ode to that, or is it something else maybe from another league or something else you want to tell us about?
No, yeah, it's definitely an ode to that. I'm pretty sure I came up with it when that was going on, and I mean, half of it is just I think I would relish in being a replacement ref. So like I've always appreciated their position. Like I would definitely be like scamming dudes and like betting money on the books if I was in that position. So I kind of understand what they were doing. But I've kept it this whole time, mostly because I'm not that creative and like trying to think of new names is hard. And I feel like replacement refs is solid. Plus, it was easy to find a picture that matched with a ref that I could post as the profile. So, you know, I'm a simple man.
There you go. So Kai, during the commercial break, Fitz labeled this game the loser goes home game.
Loser leaves town. Loser leaves town.
That's what I meant. Not loser goes home, but loser leaves town match, because you and Rashawn are both 1-3. We know Rashawn's made some moves. We know you haven't really made that many moves yet. But going into this matchup, what are some things that you're looking forward to seeing out of your team? Like, are you ready for this big game?
Well, I'm very comfortable with my two starting receivers. I feel like Tyreek Hill and Amari Cooper definitely have opportunities to excel for me. Specifically Amari. Dallas's offense hasn't even remotely been their problem this entire season. I think he had like 180 yards, or so, like his biggest game of the year last week. So I'm really looking forward to see what they can do for me. I'm relatively shaky in a lot of other areas. Eric Ebron is in a good position. I know Philly, I think, is 30th in the league as far as like how they've allowed tight ends to score. So I'm hoping that something could pop up there. But those are the main areas where I'm looking forward to seeing how they do. Otherwise, I'm fairly nervous because after the moves that Rashawn has made, I feel like he's definitely in an advantageous position.
Can I just interject real fast? Logan Thomas went off against us. Logan Thomas.
That's true.
We legitimately might have the worst linebacking core in the league, legitimately. And we no longer have what?
We do. We don't have linebackers at all. So.
Oh, is that so?
They all opted out.
So we saw what happened with George Kittle, man. So maybe Ebron can kind of put on a similar performance or something along those lines and kind of go off against the Philadelphia Eagles. Rashawn, looking at your squad, man, what do you like this week? And what do you see in Kai's team that kind of gives you a little cause for pause?
The two things that I like actually, Teddy Bridgewater going against the Falcons. The Falcons are absolute garbage this year. And then Zeke going against the Giants. Giants is the same boat as the Falcons. They suck. The run defense is trash. So I'm looking forward to both those players going off. I'm looking for Travis Kelce to have a bounce back game. He really didn't get involved like that as much. He had, I want to say, 4 receptions against the Patriots. And then, I'm hoping Metcalf can continue to, show his dominance with Russ. And then I'm hoping Gibson can go back off like he did last week. I want to say he had 4 receptions for 82 yards, and he gets more involved in the pass game against the Rams.
Bro, that must be nice. Your tight end only had 4 receptions. And that was a low game.
I mean, my tight end had 4 receptions, but 9 yards.
There you go.
Yeah, it's rough. Tight ends are.
Real fast. I had no idea Amari Cooper's number one receiver right now. He's number one receiver right now. Yeah,
I didn't know that either.
This is because all Dallas does is throw. They have to throw 50 times a game.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I'm worried about with Kai's team is Amari Cooper, especially going against the Giants secondary. I'm also glad I'm in a rough spot because I'm glad that CMC isn't playing, but the Panthers is my favorite team, and he's not playing for me, so it's like a win-loss situation here. And then, I think Deshaun Watson is due for a game where he goes off, and this might be the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I hear you. So, fellas, just real quick, humor me here. Someone has to lose, obviously. And so, Rashawn, let's say it's you, and you're now 1-4. what are some things that you're doing? Like, how are you feeling about the season? Like, what's your next move to kind of right the ship? You can't just mail it in, but you're definitely in a bad place. So what ends up happening if things don't go your way this week?
I think I stick it out. I'm not ready to, explode my team just yet, like some of our league mates, giving up Zeke for whatever, or giving up whatever for whatever. I think there's a lot of fantasy gods out there, and I feel like sometimes they might pull my way. I might go on a run if I lose this week. You never know.
Rex, follow-up question. Who is the most likely to jump in your messages and offer you a trash offer if you go 1-4?
I'm probably gonna say Delhi and
Delhi with a trash offer.
Yeah, and maybe Eugene. Maybe Eugene. I don't know. I feel like Eugene might throw some trash my way.
Oh, so I'm not the only one with E. Okay, good to know.
And yeah, you too, Joe. You up there?
I mean,
You definitely in that list, Joe.
in the era of keepers, I would, if I was like 1-4, I would listen to an offer that would help me build for the future. As far as like if I get somebody that performs well that was drafted in the 6th, 7th round for the low, might be time to start looking towards 2021.
Kyle, who were your 6th and 7th round players, if you don't mind me asking, sir?
My 6th round pick was Miles Sanders, and my 5th round pick was Stephon Diggs. So that's where I'm sitting. Those are my, just to make you guys aware, I'm gonna declare it now. Those two are my keepers. I don't mind Stephon Diggs for a 4th round pick and Miles Sanders for a 5th round pick. And then that's why I spend the money I spent on Herbert, just because that was a Hail Mary. Maybe he might be my 3rd keeper. He's been playing well.
My man's playing chess while the rest of us are playing checkers this season. Kai, before we give him too many compliments, man, things don't go your way this weekend. You're sitting 1-4. Are you meeting Ashton at church and starting to talk trades or what?
I mean, as y'all can see throughout the history of me being in this league, I'm a pretty non-aggressive player. Like, I'm pretty sure last season I just coasted on the fact that everybody would have like their worst game of the year against me, and that propelled me to the playoffs. So I'm generally not an aggressive trader, but I feel like I also have never had this rough of a start to a season. So kind of like Kyle said, if worse comes to worse, I'll probably start exploring my options to build my team for the future and just try to skate by doing well enough so that I'm not last in the league. And just rebuild. Sometimes you gotta rebuild. It is what it is.
Me and Kai already made a trade. Trade already happened.
That's true.
Yeah. Ronald Jones is doing him very well.
Yeah, facts. Shouts out to Lenny being a bum.
Justin, so we're gonna come to you right now, man. You know what time it is. You got Rashawn after making a great trade with you. Joe says it's fair, so that means it must be. Against Kai, both teams 1-3. Who do you got winning in this week's matchup of the week?
It's looking like Rack's gonna take this one.
Yeah, I bet.
Depending on what Kai puts out for his starters, and depending on if Tennessee is actually playing, because that might take away Devin Singletary if the game is canceled. But yeah, it's looking like a Rack sweep.
Ashton, Commissioner Jones, who do you got winning this week's matchup, the refs or the Anthonys?
Last week I went against the grain of everyone else, and I chose you to win, and you did me dirty. So I'm 1-1 right now.
All right, you didn't need to bring that up.
I mean, you did me dirty. I had so much faith in you, man. So much faith. Even though Justin is my opponent this week, I'm gonna have to agree with him. I think the trade that he just pulled off with Rax having now 3 to 4-ish quality receivers, it makes it hard for Kai to kind of come back from that. But I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Rashawn edges this one out for the victory.
Kyle, coming to you, man.
In the sensible case, I would say Rashawn, but if I was Vegas, I would bet Kai, just because I'm looking at Deshaun Watson with a new head coach, and then he might, have one of those monstrous games that he had when he was on my roster before he blew his knee out. So, and he's playing Jacksonville, which might be one of the worst teams in the league. But dollars to donuts, how I would pick Rashawn.
What was that saying?
Dollars to donuts.
Dollars to donuts. He's taking Rashawn. Joe, we're coming to you last, man. If you don't feel like weighing in, I'm sure that'll be fine with the people. But just in case you do want to weigh in, man, who do you got? The aunties or the replacements?
I'm going to go with the aunties. I really don't trust Sammy Watkins. And as they alluded to before about the Buffalo game might not be played. Matter of fact, I would say based on the latest information, it's almost probable without any true verified news. So yeah, there's nothing personal, but I'm not no mood for a hot take tonight.
There you go. Kai, I think we're just going to totally sweep it here, man. And I got to take the Auntie Anthony's. I do agree with Ashton that the trade that was made this week puts Rashawn over the edge. And also, he's got 2 top 10 wide receivers. Then Keenan Allen is top 15 in the league. And Justin Herbert has thrown to him, I think, like 44% of his attempts since he's been the starting quarterback have gone to Keenan Allen, a ridiculous kind of target share. And I don't necessarily think that it stops this week. It'll stop at some point, but, you know, I think it'll keep going. So I got to give the nod to Rashawn.
That's all right. You know, I prefer to be an underdog. It's all right. You know, it's not the first time people haven't believed in me, and I'll surprise y'all. It is what it is.
I like it.
Well, folks, we are going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, all 7 of us are going to give our start and sit for Week 5 in the Indecision game. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indecision Cave Week 5, and we are here to talk starts and sits. Trader Joe, you know, I've come to you last the whole show, man. It's always love. I've just never beaten you in this league, man, so I'm not happy when it comes to facing your team. But we're going to go to you first, man. Who are you starting and who are you sitting in Week 5?
So I know for most people they don't have this luxury because he probably was drafted pretty high. But Terry McLaurin, wide receiver for the Redskins.
The who?
I do this almost every week. Every week. The Washington football team.
Yeah.
Thank you, host. He has the brand new quarterback. I have no idea what that connection is going to look like. And he's facing one of the best cornerbacks in the league on the Rams, Jalen Ramsey. For me, because I have a good wide receiving core, I have the luxury to have him sit on my bench to see what that connection will look like. So I'm just going to temper my expectations with him, and I'm sitting him personally as of today at least. For my sit, I'm sorry, he was my sit. For my start, it'll be Ronald Jones. Right now, Leonard Fournette is a game-time decision. Even if he does play, I would still start Ronald Jones with no hesitation. They already have Tom Brady already has one elite wide receiver down in Chris Godwin. And we saw last week when that happened, Ronald Jones had 6 receptions. And I know from what I understand, he dropped a number of them as well. So it could have been more. But I think he's going to have a rock-solid game, even though he's facing the Bears, who has a solid defense. But I think he's going to do well for you, Kai.
There you go. Justin, who are we starting and sitting in Week 5?
Starting, I'm going with Chase Edmonds because y'all know how I feel about these Jets. They terrible. Coach bad. Team don't look like they really about this life. I mean, Kenyon Drake, he's going to definitely bounce back. A lot of people been getting on him about that. So I feel like it's one of those games where he'll do his numbers and then they'll let Chase Edmonds get in and he'll do numbers against the Jets. And sitting, I'm going with Baker Mayfield, man. Somehow the Browns are 3-1. I don't know how that happened, but they're going against a legit defense, I feel, against the Colts. And Baker's just going to be shown as who he really is. So, yeah, sit Baker this week.
I hear you. I don't know how they're 3-1, but analysts all over the place are expecting or predicting now that they're going to end up being a playoff contender. So, this could be a make or break week to see if the Browns are for real for Baker Mayfield traveling to play the Colts. Ashton, Commissioner Jones, who are you starting and sitting in week 5?
So I know in commercial break I said I'm sitting everyone in the Ravens backfield. I'm gonna rescind that for right now because I feel like that's a cop out. That's like saying start the Eagles tight ends. So I'm gonna sit someone who had an amazing week last week. I think he comes right back down to earth when they go to Baltimore. I think when they play Baltimore, which is 26th ranked against the run. So that means they're one of the fewer teams to allow running backs to do their thing, around 15 points per game. And so I'm going to sit Joe Mixon. Their line is trash. Anytime I watch the game, that man gets the ball and is instantly surrounded by defenders. So I'm going to sit Joe Mixon, and I'm going to go with someone who didn't play as well last week, and I think will have a turnaround game, and that's DJ Moore against the Falcons. Everyone knows everyone goes off against the Falcons, especially in the fourth quarter. So I know Robby Anderson is definitely going to get some looks, but I think DJ Moore is definitely going to be getting some looks as well and deserves to be back in your starting lineup if you lost faith in the guy.
Rashawn, I know that's music to your ears. We're going to stick with the Panthers fan. Who are you starting and sitting this week?
I'm starting Robby Anderson. Him and Teddy Bridgewater and him and Matt Rule go back to Temple days. And I know that's his guy, and Teddy Bridgewater has found, a sweet spot for him. So once again, like Ashton said, everyone's going to go off against the Falcons defense. They just lost one of their safeties to torn Achilles. So their secondary is depleted. I'm sitting Miles Sanders. They're going against a stingy Steelers defense, and they just came off a bye week. Technically a bye week. And I know they're hungry and they're ready to get back on the field. And my sleeper starter for those who are in a deep league, Curtis Samuels. He's going to be used as a gadget guy with CMC out. So they're going to use him in the backfield. They're going to use him as the wide out and the slot receiver. So I feel like he is due for his breakout game this season as well.
There you go. Kai, your first episode with us, man. You've done a great job. We really appreciate you. But now the pressure's on. Everybody's listening. Everybody's watching. Who are you starting and sitting this week?
Well, starting Eric Ebron. He has a great matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles. Their middle of their defense is one of the worst in the league. And the Steelers have been incorporating their tight ends more and more as the season goes on. Eric Ebron's actually second in target shares on the team, so I think he has potential to really go off for them in this situation. And then also on my team, I'm sitting, now that I think about it, Devin Singletary, because in all likelihood that game is probably not going to occur. So as a Steelers fan and as a fan of my own fantasy team, I'm really not big on the Titans right now. They're setting me back in multiple ways.
There you go. So my start this week is on my team. It's Hollywood Brown, and I'm really just hoping that last week was the start of something special. He had 86 yards in week 4. He got 8 targets. So obviously Lamar Jackson is looking at him. He's looking for him. I think I saw a stat where he's averaging the most air yards per target. So he's still the deep threat. Hopefully he can kind of turn some of those opportunities into scores. And Cincinnati's pass defense isn't exactly stellar. So this is me hoping more than anything, but I'm definitely going to start Marquise Brown, even though he's been off to a kind of sluggish start. Who I'm sitting this week is Josh Kelly from the Los Angeles Chargers. I know at the beginning of the year, he started off really tough. He looked really promising. He looked good. But last week, when he was able to get the lion's share of the love, 9 carries for 7 yards against the Bucs. The Bucs are a great defense, just didn't really sit well with me. Justin Jackson has proven that he can make his mark with the Chargers. I think where the issue is that he's really, really similar to Austin Eckler. So it doesn't make sense to have 2 Ecklers, and that's why Josh Kelly was able to carve his niche right away. But I think now he's going to fit right into that check down guy, the lightning to the thunder kind of back. And so I think he's going to take away more than we're expecting from Josh Kelly this week. So I'm not saying to start Justin Jackson. I'm just saying maybe we shade Josh Kelly this week. But again, I'm starting Marquise Hollywood Brown. Fellas, we've done it again. Any
Yes,
closing
sir.
thoughts as we get ready to head into this week 5 action?
Pray for my team. I know y'all all doubt me, but I believe we can really pull through.
Let's go, Kai. Let's go.
I like that. I like that confidence. Rashawn, Kai, thank you guys for joining us. Obviously, Officer Higgins, who had to sign off, thank him for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, week 5, right around the corner. Thanks for joining us. Within.
I just want to let y'all know, Justin, you about to lose this week, bro. You about to lose. Remember that. Go ahead. Lead us off. My bad.
Yo, do you always cut Ryan off, yo? Let him finish what he has to say.
My bad.
When someone
He asked me if I had like closing remarks. That's my fault.
I did. I
I
asked
played
everyone.
Justin this week. My fault.
I asked everyone. Well, I guess when you get your 35th career regular season victory, moving to second place all by yourself, I guess you get that kind of. Excuse me.
Talk about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, we know you've done your thing in the regular season. You also got the championship to go with it. Joe don't have his trophy in the background, or does he today? Joe, you got your trophy back there? No.
My bad. I'm actually watching.
Thanks, Joe.
You were supposed to close, and the dude interrupted you. I'm ready for the future of the country. I'm sorry.
No, so we, Joe. Ashton's the one who kept this going. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you as always for joining us, and we will see you next week within the Indecision.